You've landed on the MotoAmerica AMA FIM North American Road Race Championship, our 8th round of 9 for 2020. From Indianapolis, Indiana, we're at Indianapolis Motor Speedway for MotoAmerica Superbikes at the Brickyard. Hello everyone and welcome to Supersport. I'm Greg White standing alongside Jason Pridmore, two-time AMA champ. Now Jason, at the beginning of the season, the name Richie Escalante, he starts winning. We were like, but now we're deep into this season. And for Richie Escalante, all he needs to do is win 2 races this weekend and he wraps up the championship 1 race early.
Yeah, and he got with a really good team this year with HONOS. You put them with a good rider and a good crew, and we've seen what happens. We've seen Richie Escalante in the past, Greg, have podium finishes, but this year he's been winning a lot of races, and this is what it was the last time out. In race 1, Escalante took the lead from Sean Dillon Kelly, who has been putting up a great fight at our last few rounds, but really it was race 2. Race 2, Greg, we saw him not only run away with another victory and another double on the weekend, but he went quicker than we went last year by quite a big margin, and really he's just been the class of the field all year long.
For Richie Escalante, he gets to come to a circuit that's a lot different than we had at Barber Motorsports Park, and we thought, well, again, the first time visit to IMS, what's he going to do? And he's been fast so far this weekend. Jay, let's take a look inside those numbers, because like we were talking about, those 2 wins, 5 points if he wins, so no matter what anyone does behind him, but he's got a 40-point lead right now. Yeah, and you can see it. He can clinch the title, as we say, with 2 wins. He's won 3 of his last 4 starts. Obviously, SDK was the person that's been able to get ahead of Richie this year, but just not quite enough. So for Richie Escalante, he is on the precipice of winning this championship, and Sean Dillon Kelly trying to fight off the advances, trying to stay in this championship. So we had our very own Hannah Lopa sit down and have a conversation earlier with both Richie Escalante and Sean Dillon Kelly.
Greg, Sean Dillon Kelly and Richie Escalante are just 40 points apart heading into this weekend. With only 4 races left to wrap up the championship, I touched base with both riders to hear their thoughts.
Yeah, so I'm ready. I'm ready to try to win both races this weekend, try to win the championship. I'm really happy to finish the season in Indy and Laguna for the last round. It's a very famous track, so I never win in Laguna, and it's my first time in Indy. So I'm really happy. I'm working really hard before to this race, so I'm ready for try to win the championship or win more races.
I feel great. Like you said, 40 points. So it's not a little, it's not a lot. Honestly, the mentality is that we know how racing is and anything can happen. So I'm just motivated to go out there and fight just like we've been doing all season long. And that's honestly all we can do. Just give our 100% and do everything we can every race. So we'll see. We'll see how it turns out. You know, this is racing, so I'm just looking forward to getting out there and doing our job.
Well, both riders seem optimistic, and Sean said it best, anything can happen. The question is, Greg and Jason, will we see a new champion crowned here this weekend?
Well, it's hard to say, Hannah, because this track is so raceable. Why? Well, it's 2.62 miles long. It's got some good corners to it, but really the distinguisher is that long front straightaway coming onto it. The start-finish line so far down the straightaway, drafting and passing comes into play. Cardo track hotspots, Jason, this is where the passing is going to happen.
Yeah, and you talk about that long front straightaway. That's where you go over those bricks down into turn 1, and you're going to see some people setting each other up as they brake hard into turn number 2 there, Greg. This is the slowest section of our track. As you can see, turn 3 also was a very slow left-hand corner. Our back straightaway heads us down into another passing spot, turn 10. This is a corner that's going to cut back on itself. A lot of decreasing radius type of turns here at Indianapolis. And then, of course, coming onto this front straightaway, we got a fast left, right, left transition that's going to lead these guys onto the front straight. That draft that you talk about down the straightaway, which is going to be so important in all of our classes.
Indianapolis Motor Speedway is awfully fun. This is going to be very exciting to see how this one unfolds. And as for this guy, Jason Aguilar, well, last time at the racetrack, he finished 3rd and 4th. He might put himself in the mix and mess up this whole idea Richie Escalante has of wrapping this championship up today.
Today's Supersport coverage is sponsored by Dunlop, the official tire of the MotoAmerica Championship Series. And brought to you in part by Geico Motorcycle. 15 minutes could save you 15% or more on motorcycle insurance.
Welcome to our MotoAmerica Live Plus fans. Robbie Floyd with Roger Hay. Now's our time to actually get to talk to these guys. We've got about 3 minutes to discuss some of the things we want to. And the thing I want to ask you, Roger, is I thought we were seeing a little mind games, some gamemanship, and not necessarily mind games, but in qualifying, when we saw Sean Dillon Kelly and Brandon Posh take off behind Richie Escalante, I really think that paid off for SDK.
It did for sure. I mean, you're right. They waited on him. You know, the crews were watching. As soon as he took his bike off the stand, those two guys went out behind him, and we're trying to follow him. And then they get over by almost toward the last section of the track and turn 12, 13 area. Richie pulled over trying to let those guys go by him, and they pretty much almost came to a stop just to make sure they could follow him. And then that way, for Sean Dillon Kelly, he's kind of been a little bit behind Richie Escalante all weekend. He got to follow him for a couple laps, got up to speed, and got on pole position. So it definitely worked for him.
Having that carrot or that, the rabbit in front of you, you talk about it so many times, and sometimes doing it during a race. But here we saw it in a qualifier and a front straightaway where the draft could really help you and gain a little mile an hour or two there. So I think that was a little bit of difference. The one question I have is now, you're going to see Sean probably go fast. I think he learned his lesson at the Ridge, don't you? Don't try and maintain a slow speed and keep Richie Escalante down. He knew he made a mistake that time, and the next day he comes out and he pushes the whole time.
Yeah, he has to push the whole time now. I mean, he's so far back in the points. He's got to start winning, and he's going to be a tough guy. But the biggest thing we have to be cautious with this race, like we have all year, is those guys can run his pace, Richie Escalante's pace early, and then he maintains it all the way till the end. The other guys start to fall off a little start, so we'll see if they can match his pace all the way through the whole race.
An 11-time winner in 2020's Richie Escalante. There's a new face, though, we see, and Stefano Mesa, not new to MotoAmerica, but new to the 600 bike. It's good to see the Kawasaki out there, Mesa 37. His goal is to get top 5. Do you think he can do it?
I think he can. He especially his super stock race didn't go as well as he would have liked, so I think he's going to come out with a little extra motivation, but it's going to be difficult. There's a lot of fast guys, this weekend. Even Brandon Posh is starting a little ways back. I expect him to come move through the field, so I think he can get a top 5, but it's not going to be easy.
There is the story, and then they did qualify just a few hours ago, about 3 hours ago. Another one to look for, Jason Aguilar. He's going to start, outside row 3. Xavier Zayat, haven't talked about him. Going to get a front row start. Good job for him. I think that's his best qualifying position this year. Could maybe it be his podium?
Definitely the best qualifying position of his career. So that's awesome for him and his team. The N2 track days guys are working really hard on that team, and now they're on the front row, and hopefully now he can go after his first podium.
Want to remind everybody, please wear your mask out there. Everybody's required by the law here to wear them in Speedway. We're about to get ready to race. We've had 2 excellent races today so far. We still have 3 more to go, kicking off with the Supersport next. Who's going to win it? Will it be another one for SDK, Richie Escalante, or will we have a new winner today?
Welcome back to Indianapolis Motor Speedway. The Speedway is that close. When you're up here in the pagoda, you can see downtown. It's a spectacular facility. As we have set the stage for Supersport racing, Jason, let's take a look at this starting grid, because with this long straightaway, a lot of people didn't think that Sean Dillon Kelly could put it on pole, but he certainly did, and by a large margin.
Yeah, he did a great job this morning. Richie Escalante was out rolling around. SDK jumped in behind him, and he was able to grab that pole position. Zayat, Mesa, Almeida, Minster, and Aguilar are going to roll out the first 2 to 3 rows. Silva, Benjamin Smith, and Skultz, as you're going to see, we run back through our field. Got Nolan Lampkin, Soltis, and Nassani on row 5. And yeah, Greg, this morning was really interesting watching that first qualifying session. They did probably 5 laps in a row together, and SDK was able to just get Escalante.
All right, let's get down to Hannah with a special report. Hey, Hannah.
Hey guys, wind's picking up a little bit out here, but it's a beautiful day for some racing. Now you may recognize a familiar face to the MotoAmerica series. Joining the Supersport grid this weekend is none other than Stefano Mesa. He had the bike for quite a while and decided why not give it a go this weekend, especially considering this is his last race weekend of the season. Stefano's family is so incredibly wonderful. If you've ever met the Mesa family, you know exactly what I'm talking about. But Stefano's father actually needs a kidney transplant later this year, and Stefano is going to be his donor. So we wish them both a speedy recovery, and we'll see them racing next season.
Wow, that's a great story, and it is good to see Stefano out there starting from row 2 as we get ready to go green.
So here we go. Lights are on. When they go off, we're going into turn 1 at IMS. So we're away racing. The Lucas Oil helicopter with a great shot, and you can see as we bend it into turn number 1, their first opportunity to get to 1 and 2 at speed.
Wow, I think that's Brandon Posh coming from row 3 or 4, Greg. As you can see him, he's going to end up 3rd by the time they get to turn 2. Our points leader, Richie Escalante, got kind of swallowed up at the beginning. You could see him back there in 6th. Xavier Zayat gets off the line right behind SDK. As they roll out of the sea, Greg, we got a faller in turn 2.
Yeah, number 93, John Hawkins down. Their 17th place qualifier is down, but Sean Dillon Kelly is starting to streak away where your championship leader, number 54, is in 5th spot.
Brandon Posh started from 11th on the grid. He's had a little bit of a rough weekend so far, but for him to be able to get that jump that he did, he rolled around the outside of everybody into turn 1, which put him tight into turn 2, and you can see he slotted himself right there. And it's Mesa, actually. We got a big crash in the background. So it's actually Mesa in 2nd. I thought it was Zayat, but it looks like it's Mesa in 2nd place. Trying to get a number on this bike here.
Couldn't
Glad
tell
to see he's up and okay.
Who that was. Looked like maybe someone in the 90s, but we know that 93 was Hawkins, who was down.
Yeah. Oh, is it Carl Sotis maybe?
Yeah, number 60. Yeah, Carl Sotis.
Yes.
So he crashed and waved his hands, hoping no one was behind him. So we'll see if he can get that bike going again. So now things sorting themselves out at the front.
Escalante gets shot up out of the seat as they come onto the front straightaway. You can see Zayat's going to take advantage of that, move past the Kawasaki rider. So come across the line first time through. It's going to be SDK, then Mesa, Stefano Mesa there, and Brandon Posh. This is where Brandon was strong on the first lap. He rolled right around the outside of guys, and that's what he's doing right now to Mesa as well. This will put him tight as they go into turn 2.
He's got the line, though. Up the inside he goes. A very slow corner. He'll take over the spot. Not happy with that 11th place qualifying session was Brandon Posh. Very upset. Down! Sean Dillon Kelly is down, trying to restart the motorcycle and get back in the race. He does a good job. You can see the grass, though, in the back part. It's trapped in the swing arm near the wheel.
I think he held onto that bike and the clutch the whole time. I don't even think it stalled. He was able to get that bike right away. Escalante slides up into 2nd place, and our 11th place qualifier has come all the way to the front of the group, Brandon Posh, in less than a lap and a half.
Unbelievable. Celtic HSBK Racing's Brandon Posh on a Yamaha R6 leads the way from your championship points leader, number 54, Richie Escalante.
We're waiting for STK to come into our camera shot here, Greg, and we're going to see he might have bent a bar. There he is right there. Yeah, he's either broke the linkage. Yeah, he's done something to the left side. Foot peg, possibly. That's heartbreaking for him. He was doing everything he could to try to keep this championship alive this weekend.
So Sean Dillon Kelly was 40 points behind Richie Escalante in this championship. If SDK, or when SDK pulls in, and if he's not able to score points and Richie Escalante can get around Brandon Posh, that's got to be 25. That would be 65 points with 75 available beginning with tomorrow's race. So Escalante, even with the exit of Sean Dillon Kelly, can't wrap the championship up today, but he certainly want that race win.
Wow.
So they swap it around, they go. Escalante's got the inside line, but this is where Posh has been really strong. So he'll take the lead again. No, thought he had the inside line, which he prefers, but Richie Escalante's seen Posh do this now a couple of times.
Well, Escalante just let off the brakes, and you can see there on the front straightaway, Stefano Mesa was in the draft of both of these guys. They went 3 wide as they went into turn 1. Stefano, that's really one of the only spots I can see a little bit of weakness is going down into turn 1 right now, because he's got the measure of these guys everywhere else. Good to see him riding in our 600 class this weekend. Just behind, you can see Xavier Zayat and Lucas Silva. Haven't quite let these leaders get out of their head. On the left-hand side of our screen, you can see SDK. And the problem with, if there is a problem with Indy, is how long the pit lane is. These guys got to be cruising down pit lane speed limiter for a long time. So it took him a little while to get back to the pits here. And that could be his race done. I'm sure they're going to try to get him back out. But that's just too bad there. That's just pushing. It's a kid that's trying hard.
141.5 for Richie Escalante. Sean Dillon Kelly had a 140.0 in qualifying, so there seems to be more speed. Escalante was able to do a 140.3. No special qualifying tires available in Supersport like there is in Superbike. So Escalante didn't get a great start, now having to work for it. Brandon Posh put on a good performance so far, leading this race from 11th. Right part of your screen, the team taking a look at that motorcycle.
And, you know, Escalante is going to have seen that. He's going to know his position now, and it really does, Greg. If anything, it takes all the pressure off him. He can go out there and just ride his race, do what he can to just put these lap times down. Brandon Posh holding on to second. You can see Stefano's close. Stefano just tips in a little bit early into turn 1 there. That might be something he'll be able to look at tonight when he's looking back at the video. Maybe get a little something from it. Looking at the lap times, 41.3 that time by Escalante, 41.9 for Posh. Mesa at a 42.2. So Mesa's already going quicker than he qualified at. He wants to try to keep his eyes focused ahead and go with Brandon and get away from that battle for 4th and 5th. As you can see, just behind him, Zayat and Silva, and just behind them is Kevin Almeida, a couple seconds back.
Xavier Zayat in 4th place. He had a run between race 10 and 12 this season of finishing 4th, as we see Sean Dillon Kelly heading back onto the racetrack. Talking about Xavier Zayat, though, a moment ago. Had his best qualifying so far in MotoAmerica competition in Supersport.
You can see SDK's now rolling back out. Team did a good job. Jeremy Toy down there doing some work on that thing to get that bike back out. And, you know, the main thing here, believe it or not, the important part about this is that SDK gets to go out and run the laps at a race distance. You know, he's going to be obviously a lap down or so, but he's going to get a chance to go out and run those laps. He'll be able to come in with some information if there's anything that he needs to do to try to make the bike better for tomorrow. So these laps are still going to be important for him. Really, really impressed by Stefano Mesa. Throws his name into the hat this weekend in 600s for the first time all year. I can't remember the last time I saw Stefano ride a 600. Right now, he's going to be well in the draft of Brandon Posh as they come down this big, long front straightaway. You'll see him pull out to our right on TV, and he does. Now let's see how they hold on going down here into turn 1.
On the brakes, into 1, a very fast corner, down a couple of gears. Mesa trying to go up the inside, can't get it done as Posh really has that dialed in.
Yeah, you say that, but he's learning. Stefano's starting to see it, and that time through, you could tell he hung in there a little bit longer. He probably wasn't in the preferred spot at that point, and he knew Brandon would let go of the lever, but Stefano definitely got into turn 1 deeper that lap, so that's going to be something that he'll put in the back of his mind. 41.9 that time for Stefano, so he's well under where he qualified at now. And if he sits there, you know, Greg, he might be able to take a shot later in towards the end of this race. Lucas Silva, another guy that we've seen been getting closer to the front week in and week out. Obviously, we saw him on the podium at the Ridge back in Washington 3 rounds ago. That was his first podium, and he's sniffing another one just up ahead of him.
And teammates to Sean Dillon Kelly on the M4 ECSTAR Suzuki team. Hannah, what did you see down in the pits with SDK's bike?
Greg, the team made very quick work. They got the warmers on. It seemed that the foot peg was just a little bit messed up and the bar was bent, but the team tried to fix it as best they could and send him back out. They said it's probably manageable for the rest of this race.
The question is, can he work his way from 20th into a points-paying position? Here in Supersport and MotoAmerica, we pay all the way back to 15th position, but looking at it, he's at least a lap down, but Sean Dillon Kelly getting back out. Really critical for him to get out on the racetrack, Jay, to be able to get this valuable data, information that they can take to tomorrow's race.
Yeah, it's all laps that he's going to be able to do, and he'll be able to come in and tell the crew. So we'll keep an eye on his lap times. We can still see him on our screen, so we'll keep an eye, and you can see Brandon Posh have a look. Escalante now is out to 1.5 seconds, probably going to be a little bit bigger than that now. This is the battle, though. These two guys here, Silva and Zayat, are slowly creeping up on that battle for 2nd and 3rd spot, just up ahead of him. You can see it. I bet you, Greg, it's not going to be too many more laps, and we're going to have a 4-way battle for 2nd.
Looking at those lap times between 2nd and 3rd and 4th and 5th, they're relatively close, but the guys back in 4th and 5th, Silva and Zayat, are still about half a second adrift in terms of their lap times versus the riders up ahead of them. But if number 23, Lucas Silva on that M4 ECSTAR Suzuki, can get uninterrupted track time in front of him, he might be able to catch this group.
Yeah, because they're not tripping up over each other. I've seen Zayat a couple times pull out to the left and you know, maybe attempt to have a look up underneath, but he hasn't. He's fallen right back into behind Lucas Silva there. So you're exactly right. If they don't mess with each other too much, they might be on the back of these guys in the next couple laps.
for Stefano Mesa, competing in the Stock 1000 class for the majority of the MotoAmerica races this season on this Kawasaki ZX6R. Mesa trying up the inside, but Posh, he's known to slam that door shut. He does this time. So Mesa, Jason, he looked like he had a notion, but he didn't look like he had 100% confidence to pull that off.
Well, it almost looks like he's got a little bit of pace right now. And you can see he's having a look over his shoulder, and he can see these guys getting a little bit closer. So Stefano this time by, when he gets on this front straightaway, if he is able to draft past Brandon on this front straight, he might be wise if he can get all the way by and move over to the right a little bit to try to block Brandon from being able to sneak back up underneath him as they go through turn 1 and into turn 2. Be interesting to see Stefano lead through this whole infield at least for a lap. Here you go, Greg. He's going to draft by on the left. Now, if he just kind of moves over a little bit, and he's trying to move over, but Brandon's moving over even more. But see, Stefano's getting into turn 1 better.
Yeah, much better.
That's what I wanted to see from him. Now he's got to try to get over to the right here, use some exit. There you go. That's gonna make it to where Brandon can't go up underneath him. Now he might be able to lead through this infield section for a lap, maybe even pull Brandon along and get away from this battle behind them.
Great job by the 26-year-old Mesa out of Nashville, North Carolina, on that Mesa 37 Racing Tango bike. Great job by him. Went to school on Brandon Posh. Now Posh has an opportunity to see what Mesa's got. A little bit of a bobble under braking for the 37 Stefano Mesa.
He rides loose, Greg. He's used to that. He's used to the bike getting sideways. And you got to remember, Stefano races almost, not every weekend, but pretty close. And now he rides a ZX10, obviously in our super stock category here. He has 1,000 and a 600 that he takes to all of these club races, and he goes and chases contingency money. So he's familiar, obviously, riding this motorcycle, but you can see what it's done. See how that gap's gotten a little bit bigger now between him and that battle for 4th to 5th. Stefano has pace, and this is what I was hoping to see. Get him through this infield, one good, solid, clean lap, and he might be able to pull himself away. Brandon could be in trouble with those 2 guys behind him in the next few laps unless he could try to get in this draft. But right now, Mesa has done a good job as they come onto this front straightaway of getting away.
Jason, you mentioned that Stefano does ride nearly every weekend, and I mentioned earlier in the show that he's been testing this bike. He's had it for a little while and finally made the decision, but he did a couple of club races, one at Summit, one at Nelson Ledges, and he tested it in New Jersey, so he's feeling very comfortable with this setup. I mean, between yesterday and today, just a couple gearing changes, and he picked up a lot of time, so he's feeling very confident on this motorcycle.
Yeah, that's exactly, Hannah. When you can ride a bike as much as he does, it really does help. And you saw, Greg, he took a look over his shoulder as he came onto the front straightaway. He was trying to look for that same confirmation that I felt, that if he can just get away a little bit, it's going to really help him. And they've already pulled away 42.3 to 42.7 that time for Posh and Mesa. The guys behind 42.8, 43.0. So Brandon even might be wise for a second here to try to let Mesa keep stretching that gap to those guys behind him.
This is the battle for second place. All the while, Richie Escalante, our race leader, 5 seconds up the road. If you're just joining us, title contender Sean Dillon Kelly, M4 ECSTAR Suzuki, had an early exit to this race while leading, and he is about a lap down at this point and out of contention and out of a points-paying position. It's going to be maximum points for Richie Escalante and really taking the pressure off of the 54. But this battle for second has been spectacular between, I don't know, would you call Stefano Mesa a Supersport rookie at this point? Not
No,
really.
you can't call him that,
but
but
it's
yeah.
his first Supersport race of the year, going up against Brandon Posh, who is 3rd in points, and Posh has had plenty of podium finishes this season. He's had 11 podium finishes, has the number 21.
Lucas,
and all the while, I was going to say, Jay, Lucas Silva's on the way. Lucas Silva's really on a mission right now, the M4 ECSTAR Suzuki rider, to prove that his podium at the Ridge was no fluke. The 23 rider with that Nakano helmet, you could, the eyeballs looking right through that windscreen on that Arai helmet. Brandon Posh thinks about an inside move. What do you think's going to happen here, Jay?
Well, he's going to try it. Stefano just needs to stand the thing upright, but Brandon's going to the inside. He's not going to be able to make it. But did you see when they went into turn 1 now how Mesa kind of has that preferred area leading down the straight, getting into turn 1? That really does help Stefano. Silva that time ends up closing the gap to these guys. As soon as Mesa saw that he had a little bit of a gap a lap and a half ago, he's now dropped himself down into the 42.9. The guys behind him, 42.6, 42.4. The other guy that's on the move is in 6. You see him just in the back of our screen. Jason Aguilar must have got a bad start, Greg, because My screen's been lighting up with green sectors, which means they're his personal best, and he went 42.4, faster than anybody from second to fifth that last lap through. Here you go. There's Jason Aguilar here.
Look at the 96 of Aguilar, who is on that Riders Law Aguilar Racing Yamaha R6. He has had an up and down season, has the former champion.
600 Superstock champion from a few years ago, yeah, Greg. And if you watch what he's doing right now, he is slowly he's taking chunks out of this group in front. He will be in this podium battle also in the next 2 or 3 laps tops, because he's taking some 2 to 3 tenths per sector out of the groups in front of him. So not exactly sure what happened to Jason here at the beginning of the race. It's really easy to get boxed in into that turn 2-3 area on an opening lap. And then we're going to go back a little bit more. Nate Minster is who we're looking at now, with Benjamin Smith also in this battle. But looks like Nate Minster's got through on this lap. Here's that battle, Greg, 2nd through 6th, 5th.
Coming across the yard of bricks now. A sensation a lot of these riders can feel, and Posh is going to push the issue. So he's going to take over 2nd place into turn number 1. Is Mesa going to try to make a move up the inside? Posh with a good drive to the very slow turn 2. And Jason, we've talked about this for years, how mistakes can be made in the slowest corners of the racetrack. Oftentimes, it's a place where you've really got to have your setup dialed in. If you're just watching us race, you can see the 2 white lines that are painted on the outside of the track. Those are track limits set by MotoAmerica for Indianapolis Motor Speedway's infield road course. You can go over the first white line. If you cross over that second white line, that can become a penalty if you don't check up on this one.
Yeah.
So those track limits in effect.
And we've seen that in other series around the world. The main one here, Greg, is coming onto the front straightaway, where these guys will be in about another 35, 40 seconds. There's 2 lines, obviously, that they can't go over. And the 2 out of turn 4 aren't such a big deal. We don't see guys going over those very much. But it's the 2 onto the front straightaway. Now, Brandon's going to take his turn and lead in 42.5, 42.4. These guys that last time through, they were able to pull away again. So Zayat was the guy that kind of put himself back into it with a 42.3. And all the while, Aguilar is about 2.3 seconds behind Zayat that last time by.
A benefit for Brandon Posh on the Celtic HSBK Racing Yamaha is he's been in this series all season long. One of the things we've seen with Posh, Jason, is the fact that when he gets into the later stages of the race, he hasn't been able to maintain that pace. Here you have Stefano Mesa, who's here for the first time. He's trying to figure his motorcycle out and how well he's going to be able to keep the tires underneath him for the entire race distance. But this becomes a little bit of an unknown for Brandon Posh coming here to Indianapolis Motor Speedway. And how much tire does he have underneath him to go to the end of this race? Jay, I can tell you, last time by the stripe, Richie Escalante, who's way out front, 8.9 seconds, just set the fastest lap of the race on his own just because he could.
Yeah, 41.3, so they're still quite a ways off of what they qualified. That's a second off of what he qualified, but you know, the guy that he has to beat for the championship, he saw on the ground on the second lap. SDK, by the way, is doing 42.1, was his best lap, so he's out there still ripping around and not that far off the pace, but probably feeling a little bit dejected right now. You can see this guy, though, is well out front. This is on the back straightaway as they go into turn 10. The other guys are just coming out of turn 9. Escalante, 41.308 that last time through, as you say, Greg, and he's just kind of on cruise control.
HONOS Kawasaki rider having a lot of fun in this one. And boy, when we were watching qualifying earlier and Sean Dillon Kelly was able to put that M4 ECSTAR Suzuki on top, and the speed he was able to get on the front straightaway chasing down Richie Escalante in qualifying was so impressive. There's a good look at the gap that Escalante has as he is marching towards his first MotoAmerica championship. This would be a huge points haul for him, as mathematically in this championship only a couple riders exist. Look at his race pace. So he had a good string of those kind of low 141s, and then blam, last lap back by a 141.308.
Yeah, and even on this last lap now, 41.349. So
why, Jason? Why are you going to push so hard, though?
Well, he's not. Honestly, Greg, I don't think he is pushing that hard. They were doing 40s earlier on this morning. Consistent 40s were him and Sean Dillon Kelly. So I think he's just kind of found that pace that he's comfortable. He's probably managing his board a little bit as well. Looking, when you got 10-second lead, there's not really too much of a reason to continue to drop that extra second that he probably will need tomorrow when he races SDK again, who will be back again to put up that fight. Here's that battle again, 2nd through 5th. It's all pretty close. And just looking up on our timing screen, they've actually pulled away a little bit from Aguilar that lap, these 4 guys. So, but the battle is getting closer and closer. Silva and Zayat just need a sniff of those other 2 guys in front of them. Pretty soon, you know, when you get onto this front straightaway, when they're this close, you'll end up getting a 4-way draft up that front straight. And that'll make things interesting when they get down to turn 1. There's Aguilar just coming in the back of the screen there. Might have made a mistake somewhere, Greg, because he lost good almost a full second that last time to Zayat.
So Lucas Silva, the 3rd bike in the screen, that M4 ECSTAR Suzuki, trying to reel in Stefano Mesa. Mesa might be able to hear that motorcycle behind him, but he's only got to get information about who's where on the racetrack as it relates to him. When we come onto the front straightaway, there'll be pit boards that signal to the riders some information that they pre-choose with their teams, unless Mesa has a look behind him.
Nice.
Look how close Lucas Silva's getting now. Onto the straightaway they go. A little bobble from Stefano Mesa on the 37. Fastest lap of the race set again by your race leader, but this is the battle for second as they come across the stripe. And Lucas Silva lost a little on the drive coming onto the front straightaway.
Well, they're all in that mid-42, 42.5, 42.5. So Silva was the quick man that time at a 42.2. That's why you've seen that gap close up as much as it has. Zayat still trying to hold on to the back of these 3. So next time through, you're going to see them all probably come down that front straight. Look how well Brandon gets out of that turn. It looks like he might even be going back to first gear there. The shift out of that turn 4 was really quick. So Brandon, that drive that you saw, Greg, is probably all the way back down to first gear there.
Looking at the riders in 3rd and 4th. Of course, Stefano Mesa is in 3rd spot. 2nd on your screen. In 4th place, Lucas Silva. Completely different riders in terms of stature and weight. Lucas Silva, a much taller rider and weighing more than Stefano Mesa. And in the middleweight Supersport class, as this is, that's a critical component when getting a drive and top speed.
And the other thing that's interesting, too, is that even though Stefano's done some racing on this bike, Greg, generally at the club races that he goes to, they're probably 5- and 6-lap sprints. We don't know, and he might not even know how tires and stuff will start to wear in a much longer race that we have here at MotoAmerica. He's got 4 to go. He's still on the back of Brandon, but he's got a lot of racecraft, a lot of experience. He's going to be taking that all into consideration as he goes, but he probably hasn't raced this bike
for this long of a distance. 12 laps already in the books. This one's scheduled for 16. So we are in uncharted territory for the number 37. As for Lucas Silva, I said it before, he is just chomping at the bit to put his M4 ECSTAR Suzuki back on the podium. Stefano Mesa with a look behind, and he sees a whole eyeful of the 23. But look how quick Mesa is on the straightaway. He gets right up on the back of Brandon Posh. So here we have a battle for 2nd place between a Yamaha Posh, Kawasaki Mesa, and a Suzuki of Lucas Silva. Xavier Zayat on that Yamaha back there in 5th place, trying to hold on to this battle. He's just losing a little 10th here or there. Oh, and a mistake from Posh. He goes wide, and there goes Mesa.
And that could be, Greg, I took my eye off the screen for just a second. That could be that back shift. You probably saw what ended up happening there, but be interested to get another look at that and see what happens as Brandon starts looking up the inside now. And look at Silva.
Wow.
Silva just rode around the outside of him.
So Lucas Silva in 3rd spot, right around Posh, and Silva looking really racy right now, he's got to get ahead of Stefano Mesa. He's got to put a gap on him on that front straightaway, or Mesa's going to blow right by him. It's getting deep late into this race. Look at the 23 lose a little bit of ground.
Oh, he's up underneath him again. He did a good job there.
Trying to get it stopped.
Did a nice job. Really nice job from Lucas Silva getting himself back there. It looked like Brandon Posh was going to try to outbrake him and go down the outside of him. Stefano right now, if he can just get his head and put it down, he gets through the last section really good, does Mesa. So coming onto the front straightaway, and he's probably the smallest guy out of these guys as far as being able to draft. So if he can get through this section clean, now we're going to see as somebody just jumped off the track in front of them there. Looking over here, yeah, Greg, it looks like, so when you don't tip in right away, it almost makes me think he may have caught a false neutral. Now on the right side of your screen, you can see Lucas Silva is in the draft of Mesa. He is going to pull out. It's going to be a braking duel down into turn 1.
Right part of your screen, live coverage. Lucas Silva now passes for 2nd spot. What a move by Lucas Silva. And they're going to go into the very tight section, turns 2, 3, and 4.
Zayat's right back on him now. So all this messing around has allowed Xavier Zayat to catch right back up to the back of him. Zayat the last time too, 42.7. Everybody else is in the 43. So when Stefano kind of gets up into that lead spot, although Brandon did make a mistake in front of him in turn 4 last lap, but the pace just slows down just a little bit.
So when we saw Lucas Silva at the ridge, he was all by himself in second spot after
Brandon steps it up underneath him.
Beautiful move. So Stefano Mesa right now in a bit of trouble. It started, Jason, about 11 corners ago. He went a little wide, did Stefano Mesa. Didn't look like he could get his motorcycle turned. It might be that situation where this is uncharted territory with how those Dunlops feel for him this deep in the race. Is Stefano Mesa running out of time to figure out his grip level. But Brandon Posh now in third with M4 ECSTAR Suzuki's Lucas Silva. Boy, when SDK has had an exit from the race, it's been the 23 that has picked up the flag for this team.
And now Zayat's trying to roll around the outside of Mesa over in the turn 13 area. This is where it's going to be Mesa's race to win or lose to that line as far as podiums. As our leader gets the white flag, that battle for second is going to be coming out of this last corner, and he's going to have to draft past Brandon to get himself a chance. And he's like I said, Greg, he's really good out of there, and you can see Zayat's in that draft as well. They're both going to be double drafted now off of Silva.
Lucas Silva in the Super Tuck trying to get to turn 1 first. Here comes Stefano Mesa up the inside of Brandon Posh. Posh can roll around the outside. Does he have enough tire to do it? He does. Posh is going to try to get on the gas and stuff him up the inside. He does. He gets the position, and Silva goes wide. Look at these riders, 3 wide in Supersport. Unbelievable.
That's taking advantage of a situation. It's exactly what Stefano needed to do. He needed Brandon to go up underneath Silva and then take advantage of it, and he was able to do so. Now, Mesa's going to be really hungry not to give up this podium. We've seen him on the podium a bunch in Superstock. We've seen him win 1,000 Superstock races. He's going to be hungry now to try to put this 600 on the podium in his debut ride on it for the year.
So Brandon Posh trying to get back on the box in second spot. He was on the podium last time in third. Last time we raced, the number 21 Celtic HSBK Racing. Trying to hold on to this one, and boy, Lucas Silva looks so strong and just got hung out to dry. He got roughed up at the beginning of this final lap. Meanwhile, 15 seconds up the road, Richie Escalante having a good time. Can't wait to hear how this battle goes.
Brandon was just a little bit tight in that right, which allowed everybody to kind of close back up, so he's being a bit defensive there, getting in there, and allowed these two guys to pull up to the back of him. As you can see, Escalante is going to have one hand on the trophy now, Greg, going after today, winning this race.
So Escalante comes across the yard of bricks, takes the checkered flag and the victory in Supersport race number 1. Now the battle we've been watching, the battle for second and third, fourth and fifth. Who's got it in the draft? Stefano Mesa looked like he was out of it a lap ago. He's going to pull out of the draft. As they come to the line, Stefano Mesa will take second place over Brandon Posh, Lucas Silva, and Xavier Zayat. What a move.
Ride. What a ride. And you know what? He gets out of that last corner very well, and he was able to draft by. So that's a big second place for Mesa. Look, it's going to make him really happy. Earlier on, the 1,000 race didn't probably have the race that he wanted. So for him to finish second here, that's a big deal for him.
His last, I guess his second to last race in MotoAmerica competition this year is he'll line up on the grid for tomorrow's Supersport race. But for Richie Escalante, the story of this one huge. With the exit of his main competition, Sean Dillon Kelly, at a maximum haul of 25. This is the photo finish for second place. Boy, that's half a wheel length. Stefano Mesa timed that draft and pass maneuver to perfection. Sean Dillon Kelly coming across the line, and he will be credited with 18th position, but some valuable data. So for Sean Dillon Kelly, no points scored in this one.
Got down to 41.9 though in that race, and obviously he was probably coming back through some people and this and that, but he'll be strong tomorrow with SDK.
Yeah, we'll definitely get some information from Sean Dillon Kelly tonight on how he.
Stefano's dad. So this is going to make him really happy as well. You can see him give him the thumbs up. So basically, what Greg's saying, this is Stefano's second to last race because they won't be making the trip out to Laguna, will they, Greg? So
no, they certainly won't. So. How about this guy, though, Richie Escalante? Man alive, this season has been nearly flawless Obviously, a little mistake made at the ridge that he was caught out in. But what a season Richie Escalante and his HONOS team have been able to put together. Another race win. Jason, 12 wins on the season, 1 second-place finish, and a third in 15 races for Richie Escalante. But Jason, I have to ask you this question. Looking at Stefano Mesa, number 37, at this point, are you going, maybe I should have started racing this a little earlier in the season?
Yeah, no, I mean, for him to be on that 600 at the beginning of the year would have been so much better. And but Greg, he really only got to do 3 club races on this bike. I remember when he went to Nelson Ledges, and I don't know if you've ever been to Nelson Ledges.
Yeah.
But one of the things is we talked about, that's where the Kawasaki money was, and so he went there and he had this 636, and you know, I don't think anybody saw him putting it on the podium in a 600 race this year. So that's like I said, it's great for him, great for his dad, his whole family. Like you heard Hannah say at the beginning, the Mesas are some incredible people. If you ever get to a MotoAmerica race, to get to meet him. And this guy's usually on pit wall changing his own rear tire.
All right, we're going to step away. There's more coming at you from Indianapolis Motor Speedway, including how these guys thought their race went. Richie Escalante with the victory.
Welcome back to our MotoAmerica Live Plus booth. Robbie Floyd and Roger Hayden with you. Roger, we saw a good one. It wasn't necessarily for the lead, but we saw a good one nonetheless with Richie Escalante, a 15-second win over Stefano Mesa. But Mesa, Posh, Silva, Zayat, any one of those 4 could have taken second.
Definitely. And even mid-race, we thought Jason Aguilar was going to catch up and join that. But those guys were going at it pretty hard. And it looks like Stefano Mesa kind of knew where his strength was, and his bike was and he's a small guy on the straightaway. He could just, as long as he could stay close enough, he could make up some ground there. And it's cool to see him get on the podium. It's his, I think it's the first time he ever raced a Supersport class. He's doing double duty, and for him, it has to feel good to come here and beat some of these bigger teams whenever, he's just a guy with, he's got his family. His mom works on the team.
Oh, Lord.
Dad.
What, did you watch her down there on pit lane? She was out of control. Woo-hoo. I mean, give more cowbell.
So it has to, feel good to come here and beat those bigger teams and, get him some momentum going into next year.
SDK, got to feel bad for him. I think he was just trying to push too hard early. I mean, he knew he needed to push and try and run that Richie Escalante pace that we saw Richie Escalante running late in that race. And guy's just hard to beat. And I think he felt like he needed to beat him early because he's always there at the end.
Sean was just doing what he had to do. Try to break away. Richie Escalante did not get a very good start. Was back in around 4th, so I think Sean Dillon Kelly maybe knew that and just thought, let's go, let's get out, let's get a big lead, and then control the race. But, he just made a mistake in that left-hander.
Talking about getting out in front. Brandon Posh, what, third row? Third row start into the top 3. I mean, before you could blink an eye heading into that second turn, I looked up at you, and I'm like, that is Posh. Are you kidding me? Stefano Mesa, he needs to drink about a gallon of water. He's pouring it down his back. If he would have just saw his mom down that front straightaway, again, you're like, come on, Mom. Dad, I didn't see Dad, but I promise you Dad was cheering as well. But you got to feel good for him because his goal was top 5. He did way better than that, Roger.
Even before the race, we were talking about he wanted to be top 5, and definitely did way better than that. Didn't expect the podium, and it's always cool to see a guy get their first podium. But it's all about this guy right here, Richie Escalante. Everything's just rolling for him right now, and he's going to be tough to beat.
HONOS Kawasaki was good. Brandon Posh, I have to look at that. That has to feel somewhat kind of like a win when I'm watching this for him. Same thing for Lucas Silvia, Xavier Zayat. All those guys really battled, and the race was for second pace, and I know Brandon got clipped there at the very end. Stefano looked like he was running quite a few defensive lines, but he felt like he could get that pass down the front straight.
And Brandon Posh hasn't been up there all weekend, so for him to kind of salvage, like you said, he came from the third row to salvage a podium is a pretty good run by him, so he's going to have to be pretty happy about that, and maybe he figured out something where he can use it in tomorrow's race.
Yeah, didn't get any time in Q1. Then you have Q2, transponder going down. Things are looking better for Brandon Posh, and he'll get some redemption tomorrow. He'll get another attempt at it. Let's send it back over to the boys. Congratulations to Richie Escalante and the win.
Today's Supersport race coverage has been sponsored by Dunlop, the official tire of the MotoAmerica Championship Series.
Back at Indianapolis Motor Speedway, Richie Escalante with a 15.5-second victory over, I'm going to say over 4 riders, because anybody could have been on the podium in that group. They were so tight between Mesa, Posh, Silva, and Zayat. Jason Aguilar scratching his head a bit. I'm sure he'll take that information and put it to good use overnight to close the gap to the front. A good look at the pagoda and victory lane there. So let's get right down to Hannah, who's there with our winner.
Greg, this marks Richie Escalante's 12th victory of this season. With that in mind, the championship is closer than it has ever been before. Richie, after this race, do you feel any less pressure heading into tomorrow than you did today?
Yeah, for sure. Tomorrow I'm racing more relaxed. Today I have a little bit pressure and I start very good. And then I try to pass riders and very aggressive. I have a couple moments, especially in the last corner. And then I see some crash, so hopefully it's okay. And then I know always my pace is really good, so I'm relaxing, just working, keep pushing, enjoy the race, and I'm very happy with this victory. So let's go for tomorrow. I'm really happy, thanks to my team HONOS on the great Kawasaki. I'm really happy, all my crew. It's an amazing job. So yeah, I'm happy, very happy, and let's go for tomorrow.
Congratulations, Richie Escalante.
So Jason, a bit of a complicated situation, but not too much. So Richie Escalante leaves today with a 65-point lead, which basically means if Sean Dillon Kelly wins tomorrow, all Richie Escalante has to do is finish 11th or better. Let's get right back down to Hannah with our second place finisher.
Second place today, Greg, goes to Stefano Mesa, his first Supersport race of the season. And Stefano, you rode your way straight to the podium. How was your battle with Brandon Posh?
It was a great battle from beginning to end. I tried leading the train for a little bit, but I didn't really have the speed. I was going fast following them, so I just sat back and enjoyed the race. I saw Lucas and Xavier catching up to us, so I'll try to put my head down a little bit more. I saw Brandon trying to put it down too, and it just came to the line, you know. It was a great race all the way around. Good passes, clean passes. Man, I missed this class, so maybe next year we'll do something different, you know, and I'm so happy to give a result to my team. All my help, both Mikes, my dad, my mom, Eric, all my family back home, all the fans, just everybody. It's great to be here.
Congratulations, Stefano Mesa.
And that's going to be a popular one throughout the whole paddock, seeing this young guy up on that podium today. And like you said, maybe next year we'll see him running in our 600 class, Greg, because, you know, I think the bike suits him really well. He rides 1,000 amazing, too. He could put him on anything, and he'd ride it really well. But really nice effort today.
A look at his dad, who's going to be helping out here and going to be missing Mazda Raceway Laguna Seca coming up in a couple of weeks. But third place finisher Brandon Posh coming from 11th on the grid, Hannah.
That's right, another third place finish today for Brandon Posh. And Brandon, are you happy with this result based on your starting position?
Yeah, I mean, it was overall a pretty good race. I'm not happy with the result, of course. Like, I want to win just like everybody else. But, yeah, coming from 11th on the grid, it was a good effort for me. And I can't thank the team enough for scrounging enough parts to put the bike back together and get me back out there. And, yeah, I can't thank the whole Celtic HSBK Racing team, Yamaha, Arai, Speedy, Fresh and Lean for paying me well. And, yeah, Classic Car Club of Manhattan and Evolve GT Track Days.
Brandon, how were you able to fight your way from 11th right to the first spot in about a half a lap right in the beginning?
Honestly, I had a really good start, and yeah, I don't really know what happened. I just outbroke some people, and I wound up there. Shame that Sean crashed. I wanted to have a good race with him and Richie, and hopefully tomorrow we can be a little bit closer.
Thanks, Brandon. Congrats.
Yeah, he's going to be thinking about that one for sure. Jay, you know, it was a good launch, and, you know, starting from that 11th place position, 4th row, I thought it was an outstanding start, and it really shows how important it is to get a start in Supersport.
He'll be scratching his head on why he's in 11th, though. That's the hardest thing. He's qualified so far off where we normally see him qualifying, and it makes you work awful hard for you going down in there. But he did a really nice job riding around the outside of everybody in turn 1 and stuffing some guys into turn 2, as you heard him say.
Celebrations for Richie Escalante. We step away, but more coming at you from Indianapolis Motor Speedway, so don't go anywhere. Welcome back, everyone, to the Brickyard, Indianapolis Motor Speedway, as Supersport has concluded And Jason, you know, when you talk about Supersport and you look at the Richie Escalante and his dominant victory, I think you've also got to look at second place and how far that those riders finished behind Richie Escalante. That's got to be concerning. I mean, 15 seconds is a large gap.
Yeah, well, when you look at what the SDK did this morning, what Sean Dillon Kelly and Richie Escalante did this morning in qualifying, they'd gapped themselves from that field. So kind of expected that. The one thing I think that none of us really expected was for Brandon to be back where he was. But obviously he's had some issues this weekend, and he got in that big battle. And it's hard to get away from guys when you know that the other guy's 15 seconds up the road as well.
Yeah, and I think really, you know, for Sean Dillon Kelly, I think, Jason, the move that he made, he put himself at risk for a reason. He was trying to keep this championship alive. He got out front, and he wanted to try to check out, and he made a mistake.
Yeah, making mistakes is part of the game, unfortunately. He did it in the slowest corner, which we've commonplace to see sometimes. Just lost the front. It didn't look like he missed a beat. It looked like he kept the clutch pulled in, got the bike going, but he had a problem with the left footrest, and so they had to do something with that. He still got those laps in, though. That's going to be the important thing. He got the laps in. That'll help him for tomorrow.
That's valuable data. Let's take a look at race highlight and how things unfolded here at Indianapolis Motor Speedway. Jay, it was interesting off the start of the race, especially for Richie Escalante.
Yeah, he didn't get the launch that he wanted. The guy that got the great launch, you can see just coming from row 4 back there, was Brandon Posh. He rode around the outside of everyone and got himself into 3rd place as they got into turn 2. When they came on the front straightaway the first time, you can see Escalante got out of shape, but it was only on that same exact lap that SDK actually went down. Once Escalante got to the front, he was able to get by Posh, he was able to get by Mesa, and then he was kind of able to set sail. You can see he lets off the brake and rolls around the outside of Posh as they rolled into turn 2. Sean Dillon Kelly came into the pits. His crew were able to get him back out. These two guys then got into a race-long battle for second place, did Mesa and Brandon Posh. Mesa continued to get better and better into turn 1. They were caught late in the race after a mistake by Posh there by Lucas Silva. Lucas Silva comes through on that M4 ECSTAR Suzuki to put the fight in there once SDK was out of the race. But Escalante goes on to win. Mesa, at the very last moment, pulls out of the draft and is able to get Posh for second in that close of a finish.
Yeah, and for Richie Escalante, and actually doing the math again, looking at these championship standings, Jason, with a 65-point lead for Richie Escalante. What that really means is that he needs to finish 6th or better tomorrow, because it will be a 10-point haul for Escalante, a 25, so it would be 15 different. And all Richie Escalante needs is 50 points tomorrow. So there's a look. He can clinch it tomorrow, and he can head off to WeatherTech Raceway Laguna Seca with that #1 plate in his hands. So for Richie Escalante, he did a great job today. Sean Dillon Kelly's hoping to keep things alive tomorrow. That's Supersport from Indianapolis Motor Speedway. We got another one going on tomorrow. Can Richie Escalante wrap up this championship, or will Sean Dillon Kelly keep it alive? We look forward to seeing you tomorrow when that all unfolds. For Hannah Lopa and Jason Pridmore, I'm Greg White. Thanks for watching.